Welcome, my fellow music nerds. My name's John. I'm wearing a small maroon beanie, and it's time for a throwback review. In this series, I will be taking a look at some classic albums, or simply some albums that hold a special place in my heart. Today, I will be taking a look at the 90s classic Spiderland by Slint. If you're one of my loyal followers, you saw my Black Country New Road album review 2 months ago, and you may recall that I talked a lot about Slint in that video. In that video, I questioned myself whether I preferred For the First Time by Black Country New Road or Spiderland by Slint. And with the 25th anniversary of this album, I couldn't think of a better time to answer this question. Slint was a highly regarded post-rock band said to have influenced a lot of the modern rock scene, and many claiming that they were the founding fathers of the genre math rock. Their sophomore LP, Spiderland, released in 1991, and even though it didn't spark that much interest when it first released, it has gained quite a cult following on platforms like Reddit and 4chan, and it's been praised by indieheads far and wide. I mean, I could talk for ages about this band, but I don't have time for that, so let's just jump into the music. The first track is Breadcrumb Trail. Breadcrumb Trail is one of those songs you could just recognize from the first second. I mean, the guitar work is so goddamn iconic just right off the bat. And furthermore, you're thrown right into the spoken word nature of the lyrics. There's just one slight thing that bugs me, and this is about most of the record actually, that the vocals are just slightly too quiet in the mix. It's to the point where I can't discern McMahon's words, and they're kind of drowned in the guitars and the drums, which bums me out because the lyrics are just so goddamn interesting, and the fact I have to sit and read along to the lyrics kind of takes the focus away from the music. Breadcrumb Trail showcases some amazing storytelling in a much more compelling and coherent way than anything off of For the First Time. And here the narrator meets a fortune teller at some sort of carnival, and he falls in love with her. And gee, I wonder where the inspiration to Science Fair came from. Jokes aside, the song is one hell of a ride all the way through, experimenting with 6 different time signatures, including 15/8. Which ties into the math rock aspects I mentioned earlier. And it's one of the most iconic opening songs I can think of. Next track, Nosferatu Man. As the title suggests, there's a lot of vampiric imagery in the lyrics of Nosferatu Man, and overall the song just leans more to the sinister side. And as per the Slint style, there's this back and forth between spoken word and singing, and the math rock time signatures are all back as well. Nosferatu Man goes much more gritty with its production, pairing high-pitched guitar melody with this thumping, down-pitched riff. It's not quite as memorable as the latter track, and it does require some patience, but either way, I still enjoy it a lot. Next track, Dawn a Man.
Looked at the night before. He knew what he had to do. He was responsible.
On Dawn a Man, the music turns even more sinister with a somewhat foreboding quality to it. Throughout this entire song, you just sense this feeling of existential dread and anger and overall just discontent building up. And the tension only keeps building up, and you're sitting there begging for it to release, but it just doesn't. It's an interesting way to keep you listening. Dawn a Man tells the story of a man named, Don, who has an epiphany at a party. He stands by himself spectating people, having the times of their lives, and tries to join the social interactions, but he fails horribly. The day after, Don comes to terms with his loneliness and his anxiety, and from my interpretation of the lyrics, I believe that he commits suicide here. And considering the themes of the songs coming after this, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Instrumentally, Dawn a Man is very simple, mostly consisting of just nothing but the same repeated riff. Perhaps that ties in with Don's existential dread. It's a slow burner done right in that when you listen through it all, you don't even realize that almost 7 minutes have passed. I mean, wow. Next up is Washer. Washer is a behemoth of a track spanning almost 9 minutes. This track features guitar work even more memorable than that of Breadcrumb Trail, and much like Donna Man, this song takes its sweet time building up emotional tension, but this time in a much more melancholic way. After 7 minutes of McMahon sounding like he's about to bawl his eyes out, the tension finally releases with some heavily distorted guitar. But I must say, I remember Washer's crescendo to be much more rewarding than it is. It seems kinda short and slightly unimpressive. After being blue-balled since the start of Dawn of Man, I feel like Washer's climax is just missing that slight oomph to really get me, you know? Next track, For Dinner. Speaking of being blue-balled, For Dinner is an instrumental plateau where not much really happens. And I mean, it's really calming, and that's all I have to say about it. Now for the big guy. Good Morning, Captain. Good Morning, Captain finally begins to release some of this tension that's been building up through the entire second half of this record. The sheer sonic quality in this track is baffling, and the lyrics are fucking terrifying. This album has been building up a sense of unquenched anger through the entire thing, and as the record approaches its end, it's all released in a full-on breakdown with McMahon just screaming, "I miss you!" at the top of his lungs. And it's so fucking powerful, Jesus. Famously, McMahon poured so much of his soul into this track, but also the entire record, that he checked himself into the hospital only a few days after recording this shit. Wow. A conclusion.
I stepped out onto the headway.
Spiderland definitely deserves all its praise, and there's so much backstory to this record that I'd like to cover, but time. But oh my god, there are some moments where I'm left wanting more, like being blue-balled from Donna Man to Good Morning, Captain. But it's structured in a way that you're rewarded for being patient. This entire album builds up emotional tension and barely releases any of it until the very end. It's not an album that I can just put on anytime and listen all the way through. There's a certain type of mood that you have to be in to be able to put this record on and enjoy it. And that begs the question that I asked 2 months ago. Is For the First Time by Black Country New Road better than Spiderland? And I don't really feel I can answer that, because yes, the records are similar in a bunch of ways, and they do a lot of the same things, but in another sense, they are polar opposites. For the First Time is this loud, bombastic insanity, whereas Spiderland is this oming insanity that builds through the entire thing. And they're very different emotionally. I put on For the First Time to have fun with the music, whereas Spiderland I put on to quench the pains of everyday life. I know it's a cop-out not even answering the question, but really, I don't think I can. It's like apples to oranges, except they're both apples and they just taste very different. Well, that's it for this video, and the first attempt at a throwback review. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm pretty caught up with school and work right now, so I'll mostly just be working on larger projects on the side a bit for now. And before I forget, thank you so much for 100 subscribers. It's the first major milestone, and I'm glad I reached it so quick. And just thanks a lot to everyone who's been supporting this channel, and it really means the world to me. So, yeah. I'll see you.